making it easier for growth companies to get access to them. Really, when we were looking at this, we found 3 core problems. Number 1 was that growth businesses, really high growth startups and growing SMEs, spend far too long on the fundraising process, take their eye off the ball, and they lose track of their business. Second is that investors really don't have an efficient way of finding deal flow. They either get too much or too little. It's like a tap, you can only turn it on and off. This leads to either I don't get enough time to see things, or the things that I do see, I don't get enough exposure, so I don't know if it's a good deal or not. And the third thing is the advisors, the people who are the ones in the room, the experts. They're still working in a very low-tech environment, phone calls, emails, etc. So whilst on one side we've got companies looking for money, and on the other we've got people looking to spend it, we've got this discovery divide where there's no logical way for them to connect. It's like if you think about buying a property today, but we didn't have realestate.com or domain. The process of discovery, the process of comparison would just be totally different. It's a bit ludicrous. And we know this because we've lived it. So my co-founder and I have raised over $200 million for companies that we've worked in the last 6 years. I worked with PwC to help them understand how they, as a corporate advisor, can engage with high-growth businesses. And on this journey, we've interviewed 100 startups, dozens of corporate advisors, banking and government bodies. Taught us a lot. There's some really strong plays, but it's a really cottage industry, really segmented. If you can add value, people are happy to give upside, but they really struggle to pay an upfront fee. It's high growth, government supported, great tax breaks, emerging space, and as we got reminded on Tuesday, everyone loves to back a winner. So, clicky. So we know the solution isn't market-based, it's the creation of a marketplace. So we created one. Where as investors, you can go in and search deals at your leisure. You can then take your time and discover and research the company. When you're ready, you inquire and put your hand up. Advisors can go onto the platform, manage all their deals on the one spot, upcoming, current and future. And they can see what their investors are interested in, as well as what they want to spend, what their investment range is. What I'm really proud of is we've increased visibility. So both the advisor and the company get access to the same dashboard, which means you can both see who's looked at it, who's inquired, who's got data and access, and who's committed to the full bill. We've got a pretty unique marketplace model. It's kind of like a series of walled gardens, but they're really only one way. The advisor still controls who their investor base is and pushes deals out to them exclusively in a private pool. They can then augment that with a more open product, the platform investor room, and they can share deals. All this really does is digitalise what happens today. From an investor though, you log in, you've got advisor 1, 2 and 3, you see all the deals on the one page, you don't have to worry about it. We've built an environment where internally everyone wins, the companies raise faster, the advisor lowers the cost to serve, investors get more efficient access to deal flow, we stay independent, and we eat last. Come on. We work within the current fee structure, as I said before, we only take upside, and we've really started strong. So we're funded from 6 high net worths, we've got our closed beta launching in 11 days, and we go live in January. We've got 8 advisors already signed up to the platform, we've got investor exposure from Singapore, China and the US, and we're launching for private companies raising $1 million or more for growth. We've got a lot to look forward to. We're going to go into the IPO space, the placement space, corporate bonds, etc., as well as geographic growth. But this is really only the start. So I'd encourage you all to go to dealpad.com.au, drop me a note, or send me an email. Cheers.
Okay, Charles, questions?
Security over data?
Yeah, very similar to before, so we use AWS. It's permission-based in terms of who can get access to it.
I have a question about competitors. I mean, hasn't this been done before? Or, why are you better? You seem to be quite successful at this stage, so why are you better?
It's a very common question. The answer is typically, it's a really chunky fee, the advisor fee. And as I said, everyone is very manual how they do it today. So everyone looks at that and says, 6%, right? 6%. So if I do a $3 million cap raise right at the low end of the market, I do a $3 million cap raise, including a small retainer, I earn $200,000. Yeah, I'll take the 200 grand. So that's where we get equitised, we get our crowd, we get the Australian small scale offering board that's been going for 10 years. And typically what they are, they're a corporate advisor themselves that just has a platform to promote their deals. Just dating technology. It's the same technology that gets used and used again. With us, we've taken a unique approach, which is we'll be the technology partner, and we let them promote it to their investors. In addition, we augment it. We've just worked out sort of the reasoning for everyone to come on board. Be part of it.
So there's no other real competitors?
There's no other real competitors.
Competitors is what you're saying. No.
Couldn't someone like a Crunchbase just roll backwards and steamroll this reasonably quickly, given that that is kind of in the same way that LinkedIn is a repository of first world CVs, Crunchbase is a repository of pretty much everyone who's ever raised $50.
Yeah, so I guess the difference between us and Crunchbase is user generated. So I could go on there and say we've raised $5 million today, and it sits there until someone comes along and vets it. Whereas this is all actual deals and actual deal flow. And we go really to the front of it, and we engage the advisor. So whilst we're solving 3 pain points, the real pain point we're solving is for the corporate advisor, where their workflow is so manual. So if you look at a capital raise by a large listed advisory firm, they're going to sit there and spend 2 weeks on the phone calling hundreds of investors to try and gauge the right interest levels. That's about $45,000, $50,000 of chargeable time that goes on code with no guaranteed revenue. With us, we take that 45 grand and condense it into a day of just pushing out, and then the 30 people that are interested put their hand up rather than having to contact the 300.
Is there a big retrading here where if you get scale, despite the fact that you've sort of built it around the concept of the advisor, you can just kick the advisors out of this platform completely? It strikes me that if there's 4 to 6% of economic rent there, you can just retrade, kick them out, and significantly increase the margin.
Financially, there's a lot of good reason for us to do that. Structurally, there's a lot of good reason just to not. We don't have to have our own AFSL. In fact, we've gone down to the path where we don't actually sit in the deal, which means we don't take deal risk, we don't take all that financial risk, that advisory risk. In a lot of ways, we're a dating platform, MailChimp, REA with a few more walls, etc. It's really not worth us to do that. There's a much bigger market to go after.
Does that mean someone like an Answerada similarly could just feature ship this in the same way?
They could. It's not their core. Like the technology is not the hard bit. The hard bit is to be the independent player and to be focused on that network. Longer term, so in terms of protecting ourselves longer term, we're building a lot of tools on the back end. Things like automated board minutes, agendas, voting, investor updates, etc., which keeps the company and the investors on the platform. We create a really good investor network effect. Conversely, because we're first to market, we sign up all the advisors, they come on board. The sharing of deals happens a lot. One of the top advisory firms in Melbourne did about $200 million in 2016. $100 million of that was done by other firms that they contracted out. So the market just works in this way, and that's what we're trying to replicate.
Ben, nice jacket.
Thank you. I wore it special.
Yeah, fantastic.
I'm going to tell you the socks match as well.
Yeah, listen, it worked for me. Two things. You really skipped over that the money model pretty quickly. It was a blink of an eye. Remind me how, maybe I might have remind me how that works.
Sure.
Because I'm kind of in the same view that I still kind of don't get it. And I guess one of my big problems with it is that this is a human behavior thing. And I know a lot of advisors who raise capital out there, and they like picking up the phone and talking to people. So I'm just wondering if you're going to be able to change behavior of advisors. But that's just a comment. Talk to me about the business model.
So I guess
how you make money in this.
Sure. So first on the comment, so they're still going to pick up the phone and talk to the 5 or 10 people that they want to talk to on that deal. The issue is if that gets them 50% of the way, it's the next 100 people that will close the gap. And it's those 100 people that they don't want to pick up the phone to. It's the penny pinching process which we really deal with. So we're not wanting them to spend all their time on the platform. It's really to sit there and augment and to capture it all. And there's a lot of assisted benefits so that when they are talking to new people, they join their funnel and get exposure to next deals, etc., even if they say no to that one. I'd love to be able to go back. Here we go.
You're going to start
There we
running
go.
out of time.
So it's up to 0.5% at risk. So we don't charge the investor, we don't charge the companies raising. We take 0.5% of pretty much, it's pretty common to be a 6% at risk fee. We take 0.5% of the advisor for that. And for that benefit, it's the process, it's the exposure to our data pools.
And then if you said you're going to extend that into ward notes and ordinance and everything else, I know we're going over time. Right, who's going to pay for that?
We'll build it, no one's going to pay for it. For us, it's about keeping people coming back to the platform.
Okay.
Okay, Ben, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.